speech-hating liberals in a full-blown panic now that Elon Musk is set to take full control of Twitter. Hit the subscribe button and click the notification bell to be part of the conversation. Twitter Inc. on Monday accepted Elon Musk's bid to take over the company, which would give the world's richest man control over the social media network, where he is also among its most influential users. Twitter agreed to be taken over at $54 a share, a 38% premium over the share price before it was revealed that Mr. Musk had been buying up the company's stock. Tesla bull Dan Ives of Wedbush Securities detailed the saga of Elon Musk buying Twitter after the $44 billion deal was officially completed, following the social media platform's announcement just before noon on the West Coast today. Ives commented that Musk's moves over the past few weeks essentially backed the Twitter board into a corner, forcing them to meet at the negotiation table this past weekend. Musk, who put an offer in for Twitter on Thursday, April 14, finally came to terms with the Twitter board after pushback, including the use of a poison pill that offered current shareholders the opportunity to buy more at a discounted price.
As well, I wanted your opinion too. If you're a shareholder today, are you happy with this price? Are you surprised that the first offer was in fact the best and final?
Oh, I mean, I think you're popping the champagne if you're a Twitter shareholder, because without Musk, you're looking at a low $30 stock. And it just shows, as you talked about, they were looking for white knights. The poison pill gave them time. No PEs looked at this. And that's why ultimately at the altar, they had to come and walk it down with Musk. And I think for shareholders, I'll call it a Cinderella ending to what could have been some dark days, especially if this happened on Thursday night.
Why no white knight, though? As I asked the two gentlemen who were with me prior, why do all these other parties look at this and say, no, thank you, give them the Heisman and walk away?
It's a disaster private equity candidate because of the cash flow, because of the lack of a subscription model. The challenges are there. And as Josh said, I mean, that's why Musk knew in this game of high-stakes poker, he was really the only one that could get this done. They obviously went out and tried to get that white knight. But once he detailed the financing late last week, that's where, in my opinion, the clock struck 12 for the board. They need to come ultimately to a deal with Musk. And obviously, that's what we saw today.
Does the timing of this today, the price that they agreed to, as I said, the first, best, and final, does it insinuate to you that earnings that are coming this week are going to be ugly?
Oh, I think that could be a Friday the 13th. Pick your horror movie in terms of later this week. And I think that's why the timing, board knew they needed to get this done quick. Another white knight was not coming. And ultimately, look, if they decide not to, then the hostile tender offer would have started. Earnings come out Thursday, lackluster, not smiles and roses. And then you could have had a hostile tender offer. And arguably then, instead of 54, you could be looking at 48, 49. So I think that's why right now, this was ultimately Game of Thrones. And, Musk ends up with Twitter. But I think the board obviously made a smart decision in terms of sitting down with him and negotiating.
Let's just speculate because it's fun to do so. Twitter's obviously going to become a privately held company. If it was going to stay public and Musk was going to be the CEO, what would your rating and target be on it for argument's sake?
I think you'd be negative on it right off the bat. I mean, look, it comes down to, Scott, like this is when you look at Twitter and it's well documented, I mean, it's a head scratcher just wanting to own Twitter. That's why no one else that looked at it ultimately wanted to buy it. It's going to be Herculean-like challenges ahead. And, look, if you look at Musk's successes, it's been PayPal, it's been Tesla, it's been SpaceX. But no doubt, this is really one that, as we've talked about, I think from an investor perspective, trading in your Tesla for Twitter shares is, we'll call it caviar for, $1 or $2 slice of pizza.
With the company going private, it will not be under the same pressure from shareholders to continually grow advertising revenue. Musk has said it should move to a subscription model. Twitter has already taken some steps in that direction with the introduction last year of Twitter Blue, a premium service that costs $2.99 a month for addition features like an undo button that allows for tweets to be recalled before they are sent. So Elon Musk will hold the keys to Twitter. How might he wield that power? Here are some proposals for Twitter that have his attention. loosen up content rules in the name of free speech. The Tesla and SpaceX CEO describes himself as a free speech absolutist and has criticized what he sees as excessive moderation on online platforms.
I think it's very important for there to be an inclusive arena for free speech where all, Twitter has become kind of the de facto town square. It's just really important that people have both the reality and the perception that they are able to speak freely within the bounds of the law. So one of the things that I believe Twitter should do is open source the algorithm and make any changes to people's tweets. If they're emphasized or de-emphasized, that action should be made apparent so anyone can see that action has been taken. So there's no sort of behind-the-scenes manipulation, either algorithmically or manually.
He nodded to these beliefs in his statement announcing the purchase by saying that free speech is the bedrock of a functioning democracy, and Twitter is the digital town square where matters vital to the future of humanity are debated. Open up Twitter's algorithm to the public. Musk has said that the software that determines what people see and how widely content spreads on Twitter should be cracked open. He supports placing Twitter's algorithm on GitHub, a site popular with programmers for sharing computer code. Launch a war on bot armies, combating the proliferation of bots on Twitter. Fake accounts that are programmed to respond to tweets on certain topics is another change Musk favors. But what about Donald Trump? Elon Musk and Donald Trump both certainly stir up a lot of controversy on Twitter. Elon Musk demonstrates whether he sees any similarities between himself and the 45th president.
You tweet a lot.
I use my tweets to express myself. Some people use their hair. I use Twitter.
Well, but you use your tweeting to kind of get back at critics.
Rarely.
You kind of have little wars with the press.
Twitter is a war zone. If somebody's going to jump in the war zone, it's like, okay, you're in the arena. Let's go.
Okay. Who does that sound like?
I don't know. Who's this sound like?
It sounds like a guy who lives at the White House.
Oh, that guy. Yeah, sure. He's very good at Twitter.
I know.
I think the president is amazingly good at Twitter.
Do you see any similarities between you and him?
There aren't zero similarities.
Do you support him?
I think there are some things that I think are good, like the Space Force. There are some things that I think are not good, like support for oil and gas.
And his position on the environment? Global warming?
We obviously do not agree on the environment.
Musk has not publicly said whether he would allow former President Donald Trump back on the platform, after the company permanently suspended him for rhetoric that broke its rules and stoked the siege on the U.S. Capitol on Jan 6. After Twitter banned Trump over concerns around incitement of violence, following the U.S. Capitol attack by his supporters, Musk tweeted, "A lot of people are going to be super unhappy with West Coast High Tech as the de facto arbiter of free speech." Trump, whose company is building a rival to Twitter called Truth Social, said in a Fox News interview on Monday that he will not return to Twitter. Musk added he is not a fan of permanent bans, favoring suspensions. The CEO of both Tesla and SpaceX has often used Twitter to crack jokes and promote his business interests, from his companies to cryptocurrencies he's eyeing. So what do you think about the Twitter situation after Elon's takeover? Let us know in the comments section below. Thanks for watching. Peace.